But you find that big enough for you?
Yeah, you know what's great about it? I went recently, I took a trip to Africa.
When Bill Clinton organized a week-long tour of Africa in 2002, Jeff gave him a ride in his personal 727 and took actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker along for the trip.
But you find that big enough for you?
Yeah, you know what's great about it? I went recently, I took a trip to Africa.
Oh, fun.
And it was great because every place I went, I had it just, you know, I had the little
right, it's always there.
pack, and I could take it out and take photos.
Do you bring it on the set, stuff like that?
I do. Yeah, I take a lot of pictures. I like sort of, you know, documenting stuff. It's fun to do.
That seems to be common with actors.
So that was actor Kevin Spacey in a November 2002 interview referring to a trip to Africa on Jeffrey Epstein's plane that he took just a few months prior in September 2002. Now in this interview, Spacey talks about his small, easily concealable camera that he was able to use to document whatever he witnessed on this journey. Now the name Jeffrey Epstein has become synonymous with blackmail, and I believe that in this old, obscure Kevin Spacey interview that I've dug up, that it includes a veiled threat and a warning that Spacey himself acquired some compromising evidence of his own. If what I just showed you isn't enough to convince you, then let me spend the rest of this video backing up my case with further details and analysis. I'm Jameson Crawford, and this is Stewards of Revolution. So we can't talk about ominous threats from Kevin Spacey without bringing up Let Me Be Frank.
I know what you want.
If you haven't yet watched this video in its entirety, I suggest you go watch it now. He dropped this cryptic video on YouTube on Christmas Eve of 2018, a year after being Me Too'd and just weeks before he was due to be arraigned in court. The video garnered over 12 million views, and there's no surprise why. It was equal parts intriguing and off-putting. It was clear to everyone who watched that the dialogue and delivery could be interpreted in multiple different ways.
The writing. Words work when they're put together in a certain way. Words, when we hear them put together by a great writer, they have a rhythm, they have a pace, they have an energy, they have a purpose. And words can have great power, but not if they don't have ideas behind them. How do you learn all those lines? And I go, they're not lines. They're ideas. It's about connecting to the idea. Whenever you're looking at a script, whenever you're looking at dialogue, whenever you're looking at what the idea is, carve out the important words. Find the place where a pause is valuable because of what comes next.
What wasn't clear to everybody was how any interpretation could justify the video as a good public relations move. But what if the goal of this video was much less about public relations and much more about private relations? Now this is naturally and admittedly a subjective analysis, so we'll try and keep it as grounded and organized as possible. I see three layers of interpretation to the video, that each differ based on the title's meaning, who Spacey is speaking as, who he is speaking to, and the overall message. In the first layer, Let Me Be Frank can be interpreted to mean, I will now assume the role of Frank, and he is speaking as Frank Underwood, and speaking to House of Cards fans, and his overall message is that this character is morally reprehensible, yet you love and root for him anyway. In the second layer, Let Me Be Frank can be interpreted to mean, allow me to continue portraying Frank, and he is speaking as Kevin Spacey the actor. He's speaking to the society that cancelled him, and his overall message is that society has become a reactionary mob that cancelled me too quickly. In the third layer, Let Me Be Frank can be interpreted to mean that it is time to tell the truth, and he is speaking as Kevin Spacey the elite, and he is speaking to the powers that be. And the overall message is that if I go down, I'm taking you with me. So it is obviously this third interpretation that I'm most interested in. And if this all still feels too speculative and nebulous, then let's go a little deeper. 35 seconds into the video, Spacey says the following as he lifts a mug into view and takes a sip.
And you trusted me, even though you knew you shouldn't. So we're not done, no matter what anyone says.
As Spacey speaks of trust, So does the mug he presents, with a line from Queen Elizabeth's 1953 coronation speech.
Throughout all my life, and with all my heart, I shall strive to be worthy of your trust.
The Queen's son, Prince Andrew, was of course just as deep within Epstein's inner circle as Spacey was, and in fact, as recently as July of 2020, this 2002 picture emerged of Kevin Spacey and Ghislaine Maxwell sitting on the royal thrones during a private tour of Buckingham Palace with Prince Andrew. Spacey actually spent a lot of time living in London. He owned and ran a theatre there from 2003 to 2015, for which he received an honorary knighthood from the Queen. If he was trying to threaten the royals with blackmail, then it's a pretty fitting quote from the Queen to evoke. The Queen has managed to maintain trust and popularity throughout her reign, and it's as if Spacey is saying that he knows she'll do what it takes to keep it that way. We already know for certain that the royal family is willing to throw their weight around to protect Prince Andrew, thanks to this leaked footage of ABC News anchor Amy Robach.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story.
Robach also mentions Clinton's involvement.
It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton, we had everything.
And it's worth noting just how tight Spacey and Clinton were.
Let's just talk about your bromance with Bill Clinton. Can we talk about that?
If you'd like, sure.
Yeah.
Is that what we call it?
It's something, yeah. How would you describe it?
Friendship. Good friendship.
Well, that's bromance, isn't it? Sort of.
I suppose.
Yeah, I mean in friendship.
Yeah.
How would
you were implying anything else?
No, of course not. How would he describe it?
I hope he'd say friendship.
Friendship, yeah. Well, what is the magnet between the two of you? I mean, he's a politician. You're an actor.
Well, we've known each other a long time. We've had a lot of different experiences over the years, both in his first and second terms. Yeah. I did a great number of things for him, either at the White House or for the Democratic Party. I hosted a lot of events, did a lot of things, did a lot of things privately, did a lot of things privately, did a lot of things privately, did a lot of things on the campaign. And I suppose that perhaps I never waited to see which way the wind was going to blow with respect to him. I was always there. And I was a true friend. And never doubted him, never stopped believing in him. Thought he's an extraordinary man.
And took him as he was.
Took him as he was.
Yeah.
And I think that may be part of the reason why we became close.
But you're still buddies with President Clinton, aren't you?
Yes. Well, listen, I got to run, give this speech, but I'll check back with you in a couple hours, see how y'all doing. I'm so proud of you guys. You're my little celebrity army.
Thank you, Mr. President. God bless you.
Kevin.
God bless America.
What did I tell you about making crank calls in my office?
Not to do it?
Not to do it without me. You hungry? I want to thank the Academy for this tremendous honor. This may be the greatest moment of my life. I mean, ever since I was a little boy, I wanted to be a real actor.
Real or fake?
Real?
I'm assuming fake.
Real?
Are you serious?
That's when President Clinton and I were in Blackpool, and that happens to be him and I in a McDonald's at about 12:30 in the morning because he was hungry.
And I think somewhere along the way, he must have taken a pill that says,
I don't go to bed till there's no one left to talk to.
I don't think that was a pill, Kevin. Now, there was nothing in Let Me Be Frank that stuck out to me as a specific reference to the Clintons. But days after that video's release, he did inexplicably gift a cheese pizza to paparazzi. Regardless of Pizzagate's legitimacy, the symbolism is there. And yes, he is shamelessly wearing a hat that says retired since 2017. So if Spacey was making threats towards the royal family, or the Clintons specifically, or to the powers that be more broadly, then theoretically this would produce some tangible results in his favor. And funnily enough, after releasing Let Me Be Frank in late 2018, things definitely started working out in his favor throughout 2019. One of his accusers, Ari Ben, died via suicide, just like Epstein. Another accuser, Linda Culkin, died in a car accident, just like Diana. And then a third, anonymous accuser, died of an unspecified type of cancer. Now this anonymous accuser had an active case open against Spacey, but since the case revolved around his testimony, the case was dropped with his death. A fourth accuser didn't die, but had his case dropped after his phone, a key piece of evidence, mysteriously disappeared, and he ended up pleading the fifth.
You know, the DA dropped the case, as I'm sure virtually everybody knows. It was an internationally covered, in a great part because the client decided he wouldn't testify. He took the fifth. Did you know in advance that he was going to take the fifth on the stand?
No, I did not. I did not realize it. It came as a total surprise. There were a lot of surprises in this case.
Like what?
The missing cell phone. My clients wanted nothing more to proceed with this case. But the problem was there was a missing cell phone, and they state...
Who's they? The cop?
My clients, the family, state they never were given a cell phone. There was
never given it back by the
never
police.
given it back. I'm sorry, never given it back. There was never any discussion amongst family members about the state police coming by last night, about the state police coming by 2 days ago, returning the cell phone. No discussion. Let me just say one thing. If a woman is attacked by a man and she defends herself with a hatchet and then charges are pressed against the man for assault and battery, for instance, the police are going to give the hatchet back before the trial even takes place, never mind appeals. And then they're going to give it back to the non-user, to someone else who didn't use the hatchet, and they're not going to get a receipt for the hatchet, and they're going to tell the...
And they admit they didn't get a receipt, by the way.
Yeah.
So you're suggesting their story that they gave back without a receipt is cooked. It's not even true.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
So that's 3 deaths and 2 cases dropped. Now we can't say definitively whether all, some, or none of these occurrences are the result of foul play. But this all undeniably worked out well for Spacey. He even said as much on his next video, released exactly 1 year after Let Me Be Frank, on Christmas Eve 2019, ominously titled Kill Them With Kindness.
You didn't really think I was going to miss the opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas, did you? It's been a pretty good year, and I'm grateful to have my health back.
For the 2nd year in a row, his audacity is baffling.
Ah, yes, I know what you're thinking. Can he be serious? I'm dead serious.
He even seems to describe the very strategy that makes blackmail effective.
The next time someone does something you don't like, you can go on the attack, but you can also hold your fire and do the unexpected. You can kill them with kindness.
Holding your fire is the only way blackmail maintains its power. It's how Epstein will have stayed untouchable for decades. When you're running in circles so elite that money is no object, it's only logical that blackmail becomes a natural currency and the adhesive that keeps these people together. As Spacey ascended to fame and was accepted into these circles, he would have been smart enough to look around and assess the situation and realize it's either hunt or be hunted.
Every kitten grows up to be a cat. They seem so harmless at first, small, quiet, lapping up their saucer of milk. But once their claws get long enough, they draw blood, sometimes from the hand that feeds them. For those of us climbing to the top of the food chain, there can be no mercy. There is but one rule: hunt or be hunted.
For those of us climbing to the top of the food chain, there is but one rule: hunt or be hunted.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this footage means nothing.
But you find that big enough for you?
Yeah, you know what's great about it? I went recently, I took a trip to Africa.
Oh, fun.
And it was great because every place I went, I had it just, I had the little
it's always there.
pack, and I could take it out and take photos.
Do you bring it on the set, stuff like that?
I do. Yeah, I take a lot of pictures. I like sort of, documenting stuff. It's fun to do.
That seems to be common with actors.
Maybe there is no nefarious symbolism behind the mug, the pizza, the hand washing, the ring, the stoking of the fire. Maybe all the deaths and legal victories are just part of the chaos inherent to a random universe. Maybe Spacey just has an innocent passion for photography.
You ever take a photograph that looks like a memory? I love that. To take a photograph that hurts every time you look at it, every time you look at it, that does that hurty thing right here, I can do that. Don't be a tourist.
Well, not many tourists get to fly around Africa with Bill Clinton, or sit on the royal thrones of England with Ghislaine Maxwell. So one thing's for certain, he practices what he preaches.
Don't be a tourist.
Hey guys, remember to like, share, subscribe, and if you think this content is valuable, then please consider donating using the links below. I'm really just getting started on this channel, and the support I receive now is going to help me evaluate how much time I can justify spending away from my day job and instead producing more content. So it means a lot and it will go a long way. Thanks again.